Have you ever carried a pain so deep, yet no one saw it? A wound no medicine could heal, a shame that time never erased. This is the story of a woman who lived like that for 12 long years. Forgotten by many, but never forgotten by God. There was a woman in Israel whose life was marked by suffering. For 12 years she had been bleeding with no cure in sight. She spent all she had on doctors and treatments, but nothing worked. Each day she grew weaker. Each night she cried herself to sleep. She was not only sick, she was considered unclean. People avoided her, whispered about her, and treated her like an outcast. She lived with rejection, loneliness, and despair. To the world she was invisible, but inside her heart longed for freedom. One day, in the middle of her brokenness, she heard whispers in the street. People were talking about a man named Jesus. Some said he was a teacher, others said he was a prophet, but many declared something greater, that he was the Son of God and that he healed the sick. She heard of blind eyes opening, of the lame walking, of lepers being cleansed. Could it be true? Could there really be hope for her? Her heart began to beat with a small flame of faith. She thought to herself, if I could just get close to him, if I could just touch his cloak, I will be healed. No doctor had given her hope, but this Jesus was different. He did not turn away the broken, he welcomed them. But the challenge was not small. Jesus was surrounded by crowds wherever he went. Dozens, even hundreds, pressed against him, desperate for his attention. The woman knew her weakness. She could barely walk without trembling. Yet something inside told her this was her only chance. If she stayed home, she would die in her sickness. If she went out, she risked being pushed aside, mocked, or worse. But faith is not without risk. Faith often requires courage. And so, with trembling steps, she decided to go. The streets were alive with noise that day. The crowd gathered around Jesus, pressing him from every side. The woman stood at the edge, her heart racing. Every step forward felt like climbing a mountain. People bumped into her, some shoved her away, others gave her looks of disgust. But she kept moving. She whispered to herself again and again, if I can just touch him, if I can just touch him. Her body grew weak, her knees shook, but her determination grew stronger. Finally, she fell to her knees, crawling between the legs of the crowd. Her hand stretched out, trembling, reaching for just a thread, a corner of his robe. And then it happened. The moment her fingers touched the edge of his garment, power surged through her body. In an instant, the bleeding stopped, the pain vanished, strength returned, what 12 years of doctors, money and effort could not fix. Jesus healed in a single moment. Tears filled her eyes. She covered her mouth in shock, hardly believing what she felt. Her body was whole again. Her soul was free. But then Jesus stopped walking. He turned around and said, "Who touched me?" The disciples looked at him, confused. "Master," they said, "the crowd is pressing against you from every side. Dozens have touched you." But Jesus shook his head and said, "No. Someone touched me. I felt power go out from me." The woman froze. Her heart pounded. She wanted to hide, to disappear. But something stronger pulled her forward. Slowly, trembling, she fell at Jesus' feet. Through her tears, she told him everything, the years of pain, the rejection, the loneliness, and the moment of faith when she touched his robe. The crowd fell silent. Everyone waited to see how Jesus would respond. Would he be angry? Would he rebuke her for touching him in secret? But instead, Jesus knelt down and looked at her with compassion. His words were not of judgment, but of love. "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace." In that single sentence, Jesus gave her more than physical healing. He gave her identity. He called her daughter. She was no longer an outcast, no longer forgotten. She was restored, body and soul. The woman rose to her feet, tears of joy streaming down her face. She was no longer the woman with the issue of blood. She was a beloved daughter of God, healed, restored, and free. She walked away from the crowd with a new strength, a new hope, and a new future. Her story teaches us something powerful. Faith may start small, just a whisper, just a thought, just a step. But when placed in Jesus, even the smallest faith moves mountains. She didn't need a grand gesture. She didn't need to stand in front of everyone. All she needed was one touch, and that touch changed her forever. And isn't that true for us too? We all carry wounds. Maybe not physical, but emotional, spiritual, and unseen. We carry shame, rejection, and pain that no one else understands. But the same Jesus who healed her still heals today. He still restores broken hearts. He still gives hope to the hopeless. And he still calls us sons and daughters. Her story is more than history. It's a promise that no matter how long you've suffered, no matter how forgotten you feel, one moment with Jesus can rewrite your entire story. So, what about you? What is the pain you've carried for years? What is the burden you've hidden? Today, you don't have to carry it alone. Like the woman, take one step of faith. Reach out, touch him, and believe that he can make you whole. 12 years of suffering ended in one moment of faith. And that same miracle-working power is available for you today. If this story touched your heart, remember, Jesus sees you, he knows your pain, and he calls you his own. Share this story with someone who needs hope and let faith rise again, because the God who healed her can heal you too.